Well, that's kind of what do you do? Yeah. In my own. Yeah. Austin is he's the new one leading. What? Yeah, he's in on session work coming up.
Great. Well, we're at about 10 a.m., so we can go ahead and get started. If I can find this. There it is. Hi, everybody. I am Austin McMasters, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Kentucky Academy of Science Symposium on Nuclear Energy. As a science-based organization with thousands of members spanning multiple disciplines, it's the duty of KAS to stay informed on topics relevant to government policy so that we can advise and assist in the implementation and planning of evidence-based initiatives to benefit all Kentuckians. Today, specifically, we'll focus on the rising energy demands in the nation and how nuclear energy can fill that gap with a reliable, low-carbon, high-output energy source. Our speakers today will give us insight into the development of Generation 4 nuclear reactors, including small modular reactors, the state of Kentucky's workforce readiness for nuclear energy, and how we can responsibly, safely, and legally make the addition of nuclear energy to Kentucky's grid. Thank you so much for coming. Our first speaker will be Dr. Charles Liu. Dr. Liu is a professor of mechanical and aerospace engineering at the University of Kentucky. He received his PhD in engineering sciences from the University of Western Ontario in 2000 and holds 3 master's degrees in mechanical engineering, materials science, and mathematics. Dr. Liu is a licensed professional engineer in the state of Kentucky and a fellow of the American Society of Mechanical Engineers and Society of Automotive Engineers International, where he serves as the associate editor of SAE International Journal of Materials and Manufacturing and SAE International Journal of Aerospace. Please welcome Dr. Charles Liu. Let me hold on. Need to make sure that your presentation is being shared. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Oh, Control L. Why is not showing the full screen?
Sorry?
Why is not showing the full screen?
Oh.
Should Control L. Okay, there we go. Good morning. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much for the Kentucky Academy of Science for organizing this very important section. Can you hear me?
Maybe speak a little closer with my.
Yeah, and also thank you very much for inviting me. Again, my name is Charles Liu. I'm a professor. I'm a director of the University of Kentucky College of Engineering Paducah campus. Probably many of you don't know that the University of Kentucky has a College of Engineering campus in Western Kentucky. So I would like to briefly give a brief introduction on that. So the establishment of UK College of Engineering Paducah campus actually is closely intertwined with the history of Kentucky's nuclear industry. For decades, West Kentucky has been a hub of American manufacturing, but at times, almost all those industries face a common challenge: recruiting and retaining engineering and technical talent. So, of course, big corporations can bring engineering from outside the area, but fewer stay long, which lead to the higher engineer turnover rate.
So here's the how the story began. The gentleman in the picture, Mr. Steve Paulston, was the former plant manager and CEO for the Lockheed Martin nuclear enrichment facility at that time operate the Paducah gases diffusion plant. So one day, Mr. Paulston got a phone call from his boss, and he recalled later. It's never a good sign to get a call from your boss in the late afternoon. So he got a call from his boss. His boss was not happy. His boss said, "Why do you have this higher engineer turnover rate?" So caught off guard, Mr. Paulson didn't have an answer for that. And his boss pressed on, said, "What are you going to do to fix the problem?" And this time, without hesitation, Mr. Paulson had the answer. He said, I'm going to fix the problem by starting a 4-year engineering school in Paducah so that we will have a local supply of engineers." So that was his answer. And his boss said, "I give you an A on imagination, and I give you an F on possibility." Indeed, starting a university or college is never be easy. Starting a program is not easy, actually. So sometimes it's impossible. But after years dedication, hard work through the communities and the industries and the legislatures, what once seemed impossible become possible. So in 1998, the University of Kentucky College of Engineering Paducah campus started. So for the last 27 years, the campus has provided local students with opportunities to earn University of Kentucky engineering degrees close to home. So engineering close to home is what UK Paducah is all about. So students come to UK Paducah campus get not just 4-year Bachelor of Science degree, but also master's degrees, doctoral PhD degrees, all right there in Paducah campus. It's worth noting that the UK Paducah was originally established with one of the primary goals of supporting the nuclear enrichment plant in Western Kentucky and Southern Illinois. And there were careful discussion, but it was determined that the essential academic discipline to support the nuclear enrichment at that time was mechanical engineering and chemical engineering. So that's important to know. Over the years, different technology has evolved, but the fundamental principle remain the same, physically separating the uranium isotopes based on their slight mass difference. So the impact, the establishment of UK College of Engineering Paducah campus has a lot of impact on the people, the community across the region, of course, the industry. So almost 100% of our students are recruited locally because of strong family community connections. Majority of them stay there. And also the last number, that's just the estimate, at least 10 or 15% of our graduate worked or are still working in the nuclear industry, either with the nuclear gas diffusion plant before he ceased production in 2013 or within the current nuclear decommissioning industry after 2013. So that was a brief introduction to the UK College of Engineering Paducah campus and it is historic connection with Kentucky's nuclear industry. Now turn to attention to today's topic, to building today's nuclear workforce in Kentucky. I'm an educator, so all I'm talking about is education. So this nice graphic produced by the Nuclear Energy Institute in 2024. So this is the latest. This one gives the latest information about the overall nuclear industry job in the United States. So there's a lot of information on this nice graphic, but here are the takeaways. First, the U.S. nuclear industry support about 250,000 jobs nationwide. And also for every 100 jobs within the nuclear industry, additional 250 jobs are created due to this economic ripple effect. Some additional information, nuclear workers make more money. They earn salary that's 27% higher than those in other electricity industries. Also, 1 in 5 nuclear plant employees, or 20% of the nuclear employees, are veterans. So the current nuclear workforce are young or not very young. So there's a big gap in the middle. That's present the challenge for the nuclear development in the coming years. Finally, what caught my attention, this one, the nuclear plant are often located in the rural areas. So then we have to think about recruiting, retaining engineers. Much like what has been experienced as the Paducah gas diffusion plant years ago. So let's take a look at the hiding block. So let's take a look at the nuclear engineering academic program in the United States. So this is based on the 2022 survey. That's the latest information. So, across the United States, there are 33 nuclear engineering academic programs. The program include one, the nuclear engineering degree program, Bachelor of Science degree in nuclear engineering. The other one is nuclear engineering option, means you may get a degree in one field, like mechanical engineering, but with certificate or concentration in nuclear. So 2 options. The 2 options combined here, the total, the bachelor degree graduate number was 454 in 2022. So that's the latest information. That's for the entire United States. 454 is not a big number. For comparison, the University of Kentucky College of Engineering every year graduate over 800 students, or of course, with all field combined. But still, 400 something for entire country is not a big number. So that means there are limited supply of new professionals goes in the nuclear field. Continue to look at this information here, the detailed list of the 33 programs. So overall data shows the enrollment is declining. The total graduate number is lowest level in more than a decade. So again, the message is the reduction in both enrollment and the graduate numbers indicate that there's maybe challenge to fill the nuclear engineering job in the coming years, especially when the older workers ready to retire, and also there's industry demands getting a lot of bigger. Continue on this one, I want to say something that's mostly relevant to us, the university education, higher education. So when I look at those numbers, the numbers, this number of graduate from all those 33 programs, you can see the numbers not that big, typically in the tens, almost all less than 20s. So there's not a lot of students, not a lot of graduate. So if any university or college today in Kentucky want to start a program, they may get a challenge. You may be challenged to get approval, get institutional support, all those things. Because question during the process, question going to be how many students you have, how many graduates you have. If not many graduate, then it may hard to get approval. Even get approved, the institution may face long-term economic pressures because maintaining an academic program is very expensive. You have to hire the professors, the staff members, you have to build facilities, laboratories, buy equipment, all that's need money. And if there's not many students, not many graduate, let me cross challenge for sure. Also, one last thing about recruiting and retaining engineers. Based on the graphic, which, this was talking from the Paducah story. Here, there's not many graduate from each program. Then we have to ask how many of those are willing to go to, the remote rural areas. So that was the pictures about United States. Now take a look at the nuclear engineering program in Kentucky. So first, the number of nuclear industries in Kentucky right now is 0. Because there's no nuclear industries, so the research R&D facilities, either none or maybe a few. So also, because there's no nuclear industries, there's no nuclear engineering programs or any type at any Kentucky-based universities. So it also means there's probably no teaching laboratories, equipment. Also, the faculty member with the right expertise probably lacking. Having said all those, there have been significant recent development in the nuclear industry. I'm pretty sure other speakers will talk about that. They are in much better position than I do to talk about this. So I'll leave this for them to give you detailed information. But as far as I know, here are the biggest development. 2024 Global Laser Enrichment announced they're going to build a laser they're going to build a uranium enrichment facility. And in 2025, General Matter announced a $1.5 billion investment to build a new uranium enrichment facility. Both are in Paducah, former Paducah gases diffusion plant site. So in short, the nuclear industry in Kentucky is booming, is experiencing a revival, is growing quickly. So in response to all those development, educational institutions across the state, that include universities, colleges, community college, technical college, high schools, tech schools, they all have been making plans. Some make formal announcement. I have heard about that. Going to do all kind of things. So all those intentions are good, but the question is, how do we best support the nuclear industry in Kentucky? So I guess we are educators, but we still need to understand the nuclear energy cycle. This is the diagram produced Department of Energy. So nuclear energy production start with mining and the milling of uranium, then conversion in which the solid uranium is transformed into hexafluoride gas. Then third step is enrichment, increasing the uranium-235 content. And the rest mostly just standard power productions. So the critical stage in this process is nuclear enrichment or nuclear fuel production. This is the diagram from Department of Energy. That's the diagram from MIT. Basically the same process. Start from milling, mining, and then conversion, enrichment, the rest just standard power production process, except they use nuclear fuels rather than other fuels. So the key is the enrichment process for the fuel production. And the enrichment process, the Department of Energy just published a very nice article just a couple of weeks ago, November 4, so everybody can read this. So there are a number of methods to do the enrichment, but the three main ones are gases diffusion, gas centrifuge, and the laser enrichment. Again, although the technology are different, but the fundamental principle is still the same, physically separating the two isotopes. So it's very important for us to understand that. So again, how the universities or in general education institutions support the workforce development in Kentucky. We need to understand this cycle, and also we need to pay attention to the timelines. When they're going to have production actually. So that we don't need to jump so quickly to starting a program. So in terms university nuclear engineering program, the current nuclear industry in Kentucky, the nuclear enrichment actually do not really need workers. Its worker has a nuclear engineering degree. of course, everyone will beneficial to have some fundamental knowledge of nuclear science. So university or college at the time probably do not need to create a full nuclear engineering program. It will be great to have one, but it take time to get approval to build one. So maybe the most feasible way is to enhance the existing program with nuclear engineering options, just like at the beginning I talked about. Nationwide, there are two options. One, you do a degree program, the other one is nuclear options. So the university can support the development of the nuclear workforce in Kentucky through educating its student, but I think the university has a lot of much bigger role to play in supporting the workforce development, or maybe the Kentucky Academy of Science can coordinate. So that's why I'm very grateful that KA is organizing these special sessions. So university can educate its student, but also can help educate K-12 student, educating the general public. There are many misconceptions, misinformations about the nuclear industry. So if the general public or the K-12 student do not receive the right information, they may not support the industry, or they may not go into the nuclear education later on. So it's very important we help them. So university can support a K-12 education because unlike some of the other engineering disciplines, nuclear science engineering is intersect with many of the science disciplines like physics, life science, earth science, engineering, public health. So it's very important to build a strong STEM foundation to have them interested so that later on they can transition to the nuclear science field. Also, the general public, we have to educate the general public, make sure they understand and appreciate that the nuclear industry as a clean, safe, innovative, high-tech field, so that they will support and they will maybe send their children to the nuclear education later. So for how should we talk or present about the nuclear? If we don't talk correctly, that's what the general public think about nuclear. When the general public heard the word nuclear, they often picture something like this: the mysteries containers, or the big giant cylindrical, the structure that is smoking, or maybe even something worse. So also, I feel like we, the educators, sometimes represent the industry. I have participated in many of the nuclear development, the workforce development meetings, activities. Sometimes I feel like we unintentionally or intentionally use the terminologies or language, make the industry feel like mysteries, unsafe, or unwelcoming of things. So I think we can do better, or maybe the KAS can organize the university to do a better job. Just speaking to my own experiences, I consider myself a scientist, engineer, educator. When I look at today's nuclear industry, I think about science, the technology, the cutting edge. Just think about the enrichment process. Fundamentally is separating the two small isotopes at the atomic scale. Years ago, we were fascinated by the macro manufacturing, nano manufacturing, and today the nuclear industry really is operating at the atomic scale. So to me, that's really like a science wonders. So the question is, can we talk the nuclear industry manufacture as scientific vendors. And the fundamental of separating the two isotopes based on the small mass difference. Of course, one is 33 to 38, the mass difference, atomic mass difference 3, but in today's language or in ordinary term, that's 10 negative 24 gram or 10 to negative 26 pounds. It's a very, very small number. And you can only think about this thing can happen in advanced high-tech scientific laboratory, and yet it happens in the day-to-day industry plant operating by the ordinary workers. So to me, it is scientific wonders. Or if we don't want to use scientific wonder, maybe this kind of unrelated industry, can we talk about this, present this one as high-tech manufacturing? There's a slide from one of the journals. You can see laser beam can be used to separate the two tiny atoms. Just think about how precise this laser beam had to be, or how small this laser beam had to be. So to me, that is high-tech manufacturing. Today we talk about high-tech, we mostly talk about ChatGPT, Facebook, all those things. But as I said, I'm an engineer. I really feel like that's the ultimate high-tech. So we should talk about present, we can present the nuclear in a much positive way to inspire the general public, mostly inspire the future generations. This one more slide for the energy. Same thing for the energy. Everybody knows how the conventional energy is produced through giant wind turbines, large solar panels, the big power plant, the water dams, all the things. But yet we can produce the energy through through splitting the atoms, and that's just amazing. And the result, it can produce millions more times the energy than all the other conventional ways. So it is a very scientific wonder or high-tech technology. So anyhow, we are talking about education. I feel like at universities, we should support the nuclear industry. At University of Kentucky, we have a historic connection with the nuclear industry. We will continue to do more to support workforce development. We will develop, innovate education models, to look at how to best or more efficiently support the nuclear industry. We want to help the general public, K-12 students, to learn and get inspired about nuclear technology. And also, to do any education, you have to have the hardware. The success for any engineering education depends on not the classroom, but rather than the equipment hardware. So we begin to build the facilities. So this almost my last slide. So at University of Kentucky Paducah campus, we already take the first step. We are offering the nuclear courses, fundamental nuclear engineering course to our students. Dr. Mado Burrell actually is the instructor for a professor who teaches courses. So that's all I have. Thank you very much for your attention.